to the cloud. Recording in progress. Okay, so I'm recording for purposes of recording our experience with the Adobe Suite programs. So I'm going to share my screen after I start VDI. Share screen. Let's see if this works. So here's what happens when I log in. I double click that. No, that window disappeared. It's starting a new one. Okay, so I am sharing my login to VDI, which is my desktop is a mess. All my work, my handouts, folders, all that stuff. There's tons of very useful information in there, but it's not disorganized. It's just I never delete anything. So there's years worth of stuff in there. So here's what happens. So I have Adobe Creative Cloud installed on my computer. I set up my login, my ID, all that stuff. It works on my machine and it works in VDI. And I have a Photoshop pinned here. So it usually gets a number of error messages that start, but they haven't started yet. So I'm going to try to start Photoshop. Okay, so I get this error message. And I just click through to ignore this. So what I have found, if I install it locally and I try to go to VDI, I get error messages on VDI, but it still works on VDI. We'll see what luck Paige has. Has anybody tried to install it locally? Has anybody tried to install it on their personal computer?
I have it on my computer, but I think I have like my own license and not through the school.
So you purchased a subscription?
I think it was like over the summer, so I don't
Yeah.
think that's it.
Anybody else? See, I get all these crazy messages, and I'm sure it's because I have it installed on both machines. Well, the bottom line is this: I don't care if you access it on VDI. I used to care. When everybody was on campus, it was the only way to get access to programs. But now that you're working remotely, I think it's fair for you guys to be able to load the programs that we use locally if you need to use them. So when Photoshop starts up, you get these messages. I'm just going to kind of highlight what I did in the video. I'm assuming everybody was able to watch that. It was 40 minutes, I guess. Not too bad. I most of the stuff I introduced near the beginning. So there's always a lot of this introductory stuff with all these programs. What's new? If you don't really care about that, you can just close that window. So this is what I did with all of you in the video. To create a new file, you click on create new. I think sometimes VDI requires you to click on things twice. That's what I'm finding. It seems to keep one keystroke and require you to generate a second one. So to create a new document, you click on create new and you get this window. And the option you want to select here is print. And the page size is 11 by 17. Is there anybody who had trouble getting this far? Let me ask that in the chat. I can open the program, no, Zoom shuts down. All right, that was, anyone not get this far? That is, create new 11 by 17 document. Okay, so I take this to mean that everybody's been able to do this. Okay. So I don't get into, at this point in the Photoshop lesson, I don't get into a full-blown lesson of what the different functions are, but I want you to get a sense for how Photoshop works. So let me create my 11 by 17 document. And I wanted it to be landscape mode, not that. And I think I can. Let me try this again. File, new. Tabloid, and I set landscape here at the outset, 300 pixels per inch. So there are a number of ways to bring in images. You can drag in an image. The most popular way to do it is to place an image. So what I did in my documents folder, I started to create a folder with Seasons Material Palette. So all I'm doing here, this is supposed to be spring. So I'm going to create a new folder. Spring palette. And put these files except for that one into that folder. I haven't downloaded any winter palette images. So how do I get images, right? I'm getting them from the internet. And one place I suggested, to which you will all have access by subscription once you complete the training, is the materials lab, materials bank rather. So the advantage, one of the advantages of Material Bank is that it's organized by material types, by types of finishes. So you have wall coverings, material type, floor treatments, paint, colors, and the swatches. Everybody knows what I mean by swatch, right? A swatch is a sample. When you're putting together a physical material board for your, I forget, is anybody in studio now? You guys aren't in studio yet, or are you in studio one? Not yet, next semester. So typically when you're putting together a material palette, you have these samples collected in a box. I stole a bunch of them from school. Let me demonstrate what that looks like. I have to do a new share. And it's going to new share. Oh no, I have to switch my camera. So now you see my hands. Okay, I'm assuming that you all can see that. Okay. Sorry for the mess. So I went into the Sawyer building and I stole a bunch of stuff. These are materials, right? Swatches. And one day, when you have time, you'll actually visit the material library in the Sawyer building, and it's on the A level, right? So what you normally, what interior designers normally do, I think we determined this light is not very flattering. So let me, not to me, to what I'm trying to do here. So imagine you have some kind of box or some kind of background, right, on which to assemble your palette, and you're going to tell your, this is what we're doing in Photoshop, right? Think of it, right? You're telling your viewer, your client, this is the stuff you want to use on the project. Now, see what I'm doing with these things. I'm just layering one thing on top of another. I could even cut back. And I think I'll do that. Hang on. The things that I'm doing physically here, my mother's a dressmaker. She's really good at this type of thing. I'm not. So I'm taking apart swatches, right, and arranging them in some way that communicates, this is my idea for, well, I don't know what this is going to be. I didn't make a very attractive selection of stuff, but let's make believe this was really beautiful. Imagine that this is really, oh my God, where did you pick those materials? That's amazing. I can't wait to get started, right? So usually you'll assemble something like that, and that's your material palette. Maybe you have paint. You picked the best profession in the whole wide world. These are Benjamin Moore paint swatches. We get these because every year they update them, and then they don't have any need for the other ones, right? So usually you'll have a sample. This is actually not something that you would I believe, right? So this is just showing you different gradients of the same color. I thought I had some swatches, but they do have samples. You've probably gone, you can go to a paint dealer and get those samples and put them together, right? So this, now what we're doing with Material Bank is creating the equivalent of this in sufficient resolution. That's creepy when my head goes into the picture. So that your client can get an idea of what it is that you want to use for materials, right? There's no substitute to being able to actually physically examine this stuff, right? Because you can feel it, you can see the color, what it looks like, all that type of thing. if I were in the Sawyer building, I might scan or take photographs of these things to bring it into a folio. So even when we're working in the studio, in the classroom, you still want to assemble some kind of digital presentation. Okay, so imagine that each one of these things, these are layers in Photoshop, and I could put a layer on top of another. What I can't do physically is change the blending or the opacity of this. Like I can't say, okay, layer this over that and make this slightly transparent. But in Photoshop, I can do that stuff. So let me go ahead and scan one or two of these things. And I'll share a different screen. What the heck is that? Oh, that's Photoshop. Okay, that's Photoshop on my computer. Photoshop also, there's an interesting thing about Photoshop. Let me put my picture up there in case you guys miss me. Photoshop has this capability of working directly from the scanner also. I don't know if it'll work here, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to put this weird flowery stuff on my scanner. Okay, so I have Photoshop on my computer. I'm creating a custom 11 by 17 landscape. Import. WIA support detects scanners. This is asking me, where do you want to save your images? Okay, that's fine. And it looks like it identified my scanner. Color picture, I'm going to say preview. It's waiting on my, oh my God, this never worked in my life. It's the first time I ever got it to work. So I'm going to scan that picture. I thought that Photoshop was going to bring it directly in here. So what it did instead is put it in my documents folder. So I'm going to have to find it in there. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go File, Place. I'm going to place embedded. We're going to try both. I'm going to see the difference. Go to my documents. There's my stuff. Okay, so at the beginning, it gives you all the little shape handles, and I can make it smaller. Oops. I never remember. Okay, by default, it scales proportionately. That's really important not to distort the X and Y axis. And it's really important not to make it bigger than the original scan size, because what'll happen is you'll get pixelation, you'll get image distortion. Let's go back to VDI. I'm going to look for some winter. Ben Moore and Sherwin Williams are really popular paint vendors, and they have a lot of very rich libraries of swatches. I'm going to choose this calico blue. Okay, and even though I haven't signed up for this, this is what I showed you guys. When you bring up an image on the computer, you can right click using a project browser and ask it to save the image. And I'm going to put this in, start assembling my winter palette. That's going to go on my wall. I mean, it's as simple as thinking of this. What do I want on the wall, on my walls? What do I want on the floor? What do I want on the ceiling? What else? You're doing a kitchen. You need countertop surfaces, right? Bedroom, study, finishes for furniture finishes, right? So think about material both ways, not just this, you know, they may be organized from a material vendor according to the material type and also where that material is applied. So if I click on wood, well, all right, they make it a little easier. I can select wood flooring. I'm going to go after some kind of gray, maybe. That looks cold. Save image. I didn't mean to go to linoleum, but it's possible that I do that if, for example, you're doing a kitchen and part of the floor is some kind of tile, some kind of more resilient or resistant surface, in which case you would want to pick. You know, some of these engineered stone materials are more expensive than the real thing. It really is amazing. This stuff like quartz and the engineered stone, they're very durable, but very expensive. It's sort of like the one I saw there, but now I'll bet I can't find it. Okay. So I've collected some materials. Now I want to place them. By the way, there are a couple of shortcuts in. One of the things I always do, you don't need all these tutorial things. You can just click this little collapse to icons that makes that go away. Well, it actually puts them in this little icon thing. So it sort of neatly puts that away. So now the color panel is here, the properties palette, which tells you reports about the image and layers. Layers are the most important things that we want to talk about, or that are part of this exercise, right? You notice the background layer is always there by default. You got to start with something, so it gives you a background layer that's filled with white. And whenever you bring in an image, it creates a layer for it. So I go to File, Place, Place Embedded. It remembers a bunch of stuff I've done before. But if I want to look on my computer, I click there and go to my documents. Material palette, winter palette. That's my paint swatch. I'm pretty sure that's my paint swatch. Now, that's the flooring. So if I want to make that a little smaller, I take the shape handle and resize it. And then when I'm done with that, I hit the Enter key. And you may want to give, this is where you start to, it doesn't seem like a big deal now, but layers get out of control. So you want to start giving them meaningful names. Flooring, cold, gray, wood for winter. Whatever, give it some kind of name that you'll remember. I've done a lot of talking. I didn't ask you guys anything. Does anybody have any questions or want to bring, show me something they're having trouble with or otherwise? Yes, go ahead, Skylar.
Can I just show you, like, I just made my first one, but I just want to make sure I'm like doing
Yeah.
it right.
Yeah.
Here, let me share my screen. So this is the first one I made for like a bathroom.
Yeah,
And is it okay if I have like this tree? It just kind of looked boring before, and I was gonna plan to like put a plant on the vanity.
that's fine. Just keep in mind, here's what people do with material sometimes I mean, if your intention is to use some kind of plantings, I would say that's appropriate, right? But usually if an image occurs on your material palette, the viewer, it generates a certain expectation on the part of the viewer that thing, swatch that they're looking at is going to manifest itself somehow in your material palette, your material selections for that room or space or whatever it is that you're looking to show. Sometimes what people do here is that they start bringing in furniture, like you see this big antique bed, right? And those things are not particularly useful in a material palette because they might represent a piece of furniture or something, but what this is describing your selections of finishes. So that, you know what I'm saying, Skylar? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes actually complete sense.
Yes.
So maybe I could take it out and leave the like paint color and stones and like concrete and stuff.
But if you want to, it may be that you want to see something green,
Yeah.
natural in that room. It may be a wall with plantings, in which case, could be ferns or marijuana or whatever, anything goes these days, right? Because you can use that stuff as material, in which case then it's perfectly reasonable while you're sharing, go to a browser and type into the computer like a green wall.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you see that? You see these things?
Mm-hmm.
You see what people are doing with plant stuff. Now, if your intention or idea, that this may come afterwards, is to do something like that, look at that one in the middle, green wall lighting ambience. Look at the juxtaposition of kind of those wood slats with the greenery trying to crawl out of there. If that's something you want to do, that is a reasonable that's a reasonable use of a plant swatch to represent what you want to use as finishes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that works better too because it's like flat and doesn't like portray a particular plant, or even something like this if I crop it.
Yeah, well, you're going to find out too. Don't forget that somewhere down the line, you're actually going to build something for somebody. And if this is how you want it to look, one day you're going to learn, how do I wield this? Where do I buy this stuff? How do I use it? How do I apply it? How do I affix it? fasten it to a wall, what sort of base treatment does that wall need in order for me to apply this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Now go back to your palette. Right? And think about what green could be now if that's what you intended to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But it looks like that's very attractive. That's a very handsome presentation of stuff. It looks, you know, the colors are complementary. There, you got something going on with it, you know, the choice of the tan, lightish tone color, and it's very simple. I think very effective. And then, you know, you put a label on it, say, so what time of year does this represent?
I would say, from my personal opinion, 2019, 2020.
Right, it depends, right?
Yeah.
Before or after the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with before.
No, that's an excellent consideration, because we have to think about that stuff now, you know? I was recently vaccinated. I have to go up for, you know, fortunately I've crossed thresholds that you guys won't get to for a long time, but you know, now they're vaccinating people at my age, which is good because that means I get to visit you guys sometime soon.
Yes.
And that'll be safe. I won't know what to do if I see you guys. It'll be like, wow, everybody's here.
Yeah, we might freak out more than you.
Maybe,
We might
right?
scare you.
Well, at least, you know, what you see is what you get. This is what I look like. There's no, I can't hide that. So you won't be surprised. But this is very good. Were you able to manipulate the layers, move them up and down? You want to show us how that's done?
Oh yeah, I did that like right here. Let me pick a better one. Like that.
Good. Right?
Now I gotta move it back and figure out where there we go.
The undo button is a great thing in Photoshop. You can edit, undo. You can also step backwards. If you go to edit, do you see step backwards? Oh man, every year they change this.
I think they took that off.
They took that off. So you can undo.
Yeah.
Till the cows come home. All right, well, that's fine. What? History? No, she's saying they don't have that anymore. That's another thing. You have to kind of that's why one of the reasons I presented Photoshop the way I did. Certain things are not going to change, right? Bringing an image into the file. Why doesn't somebody else share what they're doing? I think that'll be more helpful than listening to me continue with this, and I can maybe help you guys along with that. Anybody want to volunteer? Don't be afraid. Caitlin?
I can show what I have so far.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so this is what I have for my fall materials board.
Oh, wow. Now that's really, really elegant. Do you see? I love it that you're starting to get a sense of intelligently grouping colors together. You see how the paint together communicates a particular thing, and that you have those colors are echoed
Mhm.
elsewhere in the palette. You got a, you know, this fuzzy light.
It's supposed to be like sheepskin.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. I was gonna say it looks like an animal, a farm animal, and what appears to be in a, you know, very tiny houndstooth pattern with the that have all of your colors in there. I think those go together well. What's in the top left corner?
This is like a metallic leather.
Okay.
It's supposed to be I think it was either like a gold or a rose gold. And I felt like it went well with the pattern right underneath it, like similar colors.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think I put 7 images.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I don't remember. I think, did you say 6 of them, or does it really matter? We can just do however many.
I don't think it matters. I think you know when you're done. Here's what to ask yourself, and I've said this before. Do I have something to put on the floor? Do I have something to put on the ceiling? Do I have something to put on the walls? Right? Because later, what we're going to do with all of this is create a room.
Oh,
Okay. We're not done with all this, right? The exciting part is going to be, now, how do I take this palette and show you what a room that I create or draw or get from a magazine or otherwise, right? This is how the whole these are how these exercises are all going to tie together, because, you know, now we're learning how to colorize things or approximate that with markers and pencils. But finally, we deal in the world of actual stuff, right? The actual stuff is the stuff I can have in my hand that I have to order from somebody and get enough of it to cover the wall or ceiling or floor or whatever.
Okay.
But no, I think this is fine in terms of more than enough complete. And it looks like you've given your layers meaningful names.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I tried to name everything so it's easy for me to figure out which one is which.
Good for you, because it doesn't seem like a big deal right now, but when you have 20 or 40 or 60 or 100 layers, I've seen Photoshop files that big.
Wow.
You completely lose track. No, well, people, you know, you just sort of get, well, I don't have to start a new file. I'll just bring in
new
all
pieces.
my materials and just name them, but you lose track.
Right.
So the fact that you've done this early on is to your credit, and this is beautifully organized, and you can use that text to create labels as well.
Right.
Either you know, a little legend or something that goes with the presentation, but that's quite good. That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Who's next? Don't be afraid. I don't care if you have even 1 or 2 materials. Or if you need help getting started, say, I don't know what to do. Help me get started. We can do that
I
as
have a
well.
question.
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to like put the materials into Photoshop, but whenever I do it, it seems to like reduce the quality of the image. So, and I did like the 300 PPI and stuff. And
Okay. When you bring in an image, one of the problems that I haven't been able to figure out, and Photoshop changes from year to year, the image that you find is of a particular resolution. You want to bring up your screen and show me what you mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Okay, I don't know if this is the right thing or not. This might just, okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, and then you do embed, right? Place embedded.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I just pick one, I'll do.
Okay. And then hit enter.
Oh,
Now,
okay, that fixed it. That's weird.
well, yeah, because
Mostly.
what it's doing, it's giving you a preview. But
Oh,
what I'd like you to do now is go to File, Open, and try to open this image directly.
okay.
Do you remember which one it was?
Mhm.
Okay. And now go under, up top, image size. You see image size? Now that is reporting how big the image is. It's 800 by 760 pixels. That means if it's any bigger than that, it's going to get distorted. It's going to get pixelated. So when Photoshop brings it in, let me see if I can explain this.
Okay.
When you're, I said this when you set up an 11 by 17 file, right? 11 by 17 means, let's just take the width, the wide dimension, 17 inches, 300 pixels per inch. Let me calculate. I think it's 5,100. 17 times 300. 5,100 pixels. What this is telling you is that image is 800 pixels either height, I'm guessing height, by 760 wide. That's telling me, if I take, let's take the 800 number. 5,100 divided by 800. That means I can fit 6.3 of those images in the file without losing the pixel resolution. Now let's go back to the original file you showed me. Cancel it. You can just cancel that.
Okay.
And go click on your image.
Back to here.
And yeah, so now what you want to do is select, move the mouse over, right, select that.
Do you have to like?
No, you should be on that layer. Okay.
Oh, is it already selected?
Go to edit, transform, scale. Okay. Drag a corner and drag it down so that about 6 of these will fit across the page. You know what I'm asking you to do? Right. Do you see what it's telling you? The number of pixels you see,
Yeah.
W, that's telling you, right? So what happened, the reason you're witnessing, right, if you select that and enter, that's going to give you a high resolution image, but that's as big as it can be on an 11 by 17 page.
Okay.
Does everybody follow? That's a really important concept. It's annoying that Photoshop allows you to do that. So at the beginning, it'll bring in an image whose pixel dimensions are much smaller than the screen, and it tries to fill the screen with it, but it doesn't have enough information to present it at high resolution. So that's what's going wrong. You could find an image that has a higher pixel dimensions, or you could simply take that image and repeat it 5 or 6 times. You know what I'm saying?
I
Does
think
that-
so, yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. So is there a way to like on Material Bank, are they all that like size, or are there ones that are bigger?
I think the swatches that they present. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Let's explore that.
Okay.
Okay, so Material Bank. Look at all the stuff they do. I mean, it's almost like they give away what you could possibly do with a selected number of materials. But you know what? Who cares? If you find something that works for you, just use it. That was some kind of stone. Natural stone. Let me pick natural stone. Sorry. I'm teaching my mother. The dressmaker's here. And the dog. Okay. I'm looking for something with a pattern that will reveal some imperfections. All right, I'm going to select this one, artistic tile, because we're artists. Okay, that has a clear drawing. By the way, you'll know this about me by now. I call everything a drawing, a model, any kind of image. This material has a pattern in it that, all right, it's telling you the sample size. That doesn't matter. What matters is you save the image. Graphite slab. I'm gonna give it a name because, okay, graphite slab. And I'm gonna go to Photoshop. So what did I do differently? What am I doing differently here? That instead of bringing in directly, the first thing I'm going to do is interrogate that image directly. I'm going to open that image file, that graphite slab. Then I'm going to ask Photoshop. This is dreadful because it's not a pure image. What does this mean? That means it has a ton of white stuff about it. So one of the things you'll learn, this crop tool allows you to just crop the image tight to what the image actually is. All right, I missed it a little bit, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna ask Photoshop, how big is this image? I'm gonna go to image size. It's saying that at 72 pixels, this thing is 9 inches wide, but the actual pixel dimensions are here. I can also tell Photoshop, all right, I don't care about inches. Just give me pixels because that's what I'm interested in. That's 711 pixels wide. How many of those will fit into my 5100 pixel wide page? 5100 divided by 711. 7.17. I can put 7 of those. One of you guys referred to this before. I can copy by selecting, right, using this rectangular selection tool. Copy, and then go to my palette and paste directly. That gives you a true size. How many of these can I fit? I just figured it out. I'm just pasting. Notice it's creating a layer for each of those. This is another way to collect perfectly valid way of presenting material. If you don't want to lose resolution, you're maintaining the actual pixel dimensions of the image. If I take that image, let me show you the kind of distortion that happens. If I take that image and go into edit, transform, and scale, don't worry if you don't follow that, we'll go into that. And I try to amplify, look at what happens to it. Look at the distortion that happens when I try to make it bigger than it actually is. Everybody understand how that works? It's really important to get a handle on the quality, on what controls the quality of your presentations. It's not just materials. It's going to be a drawing that you scan, or a rendering that you perform in a 3D program, or whatever. Pixel resolution is really important.
Can I show you mine?
Yes, please do.
So this is my spring.
Cool. I don't know where you guys got this sensibility, but you're doing some really, you're making some really intelligent decisions about using color in the background as the border, which I think is really, really effective. Not sure that I can take credit for that. I think I asked people to think about doing that, but the fact is this class has done everything so well that it's hard for me to believe I'm responsible for that, if you can understand that. So, but who cares? I'm delighted with the work. I think this is very effective. Keep in mind that this is fine in terms of a number of selections, but you don't want to leave large areas blank, right? So if if you need to, if this is all you want to do, think about making that pink, either repeating it, tessellating it, making copies of it, right? So that you fill in that large white area, just sort of sticks out. But the rest of it is really elegant, very beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it's great.
And when you're talking about like the ceiling, do you mean like we should add like a ceiling paint color or like light fixtures, or what should we do with the ceiling?
Did you ever live in a room that you wanted to paint?
Yes.
Did you ever paint a room,
Yes.
right? Did you ever think, what if one wall gets a different color paint than the other?
Yeah, like an accent wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Right.
have. I like started my winter one, and this one's kind of an accent wall, but I'm still messing around with the winter.
okay. This particular drawing right here that I'm looking at right now is brilliant. And it's brilliant because in its simplicity, you see how that blue totally takes up the space that was otherwise missing in the blue thing. And I'll bet you spent less time on this one than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you arrived naturally at a solution to this problem that's
Mhm.
very, very successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing is that the white tile, the bottom right corner, we have a little bit of a problem with the legibility in terms of resolution. Has nothing to do with the selection, because the selections are brilliant, but the quality of the image compared to the others.
Yeah.
But can you turn off the visibility of that layer? Do you know how to do that?
I don't think I do.
Type the F7 key, the F7 function key. That'll bring up the layer palette.
I have a Mac, so
Oh,
yeah.
can you bring up the layers palette? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, it's just because I'm sharing my screen. My screen's being a little touchy.
Oh, okay. If you click on that where it says layers over there, I think it'll.
Yeah.
Okay, so see that little icon,
Mhm.
right? If you click that, it turns off. Yeah, there you go. You see how that works?
Yeah.
That hides. So if you took that and you move that piece of tile or whatever that is over to the right,
Mhm.
this is a totally compelling image. And it could be that, okay, this is my floor and wall selection. I just love this drawing. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so glad we recorded this. Yeah, that's the only thing that was deficient, if you will. That it's not fair to even say that, but I think in light of the other stuff, that's the only image that was slightly less high in quality of resolution.
Okay. And then I also started the fall palette,
Yeah.
and then I think I started the summer.
Okay.
I'm still messing around with it, but
Good. Same idea. The white
yeah.
around is taking away from, and you could crop it or you could fill it. You could decide how you want to go about presenting that.
Okay.
I don't know that I would frame that blue. I kind of like what you did before, where the color was off to one side
Okay.
and the other stuff presented itself uninterrupted.
So kind of like
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, yeah, kind of like that.
okay. Okay, thank you. That helps.
All right, that help?
Yeah.
Do you see how that improves the legibility of it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my
Sandra,
God.
can I show you mine?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
You must have Italian blood.
This is my one for the summer. I was trying to make more of like a beach home kind of style.
Yeah, yeah. You need a color in there. You need like a flat, some kind of flat color,
Okay.
right? Which is going to be easy to find because
Mm-hmm.
there's a ton of color in here. But you want some kind of paint
Okay.
because that'll ground it. You know what I mean? It'll ground it visually, and it'll give you something to tie it together. The selections are brilliant. I mean, they're fantastic. They fit together. I completely understand how this stuff is going to work, but you need 1 or 2 paint swatches to complete that.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not at all. Take a 10-minute break and think about it, and hopefully this feedback is useful for you guys. I'm glad we recorded this because we need little episodes like this for the accreditation that we're doing. They want us to see how we communicate with you guys about stuff like this. So I'm just going to blank out here for a few minutes, and then we'll start up again 6 o'clock. All right. We also have something going on right after this class that is, am I allowed to invite these guys, you think, the BFA thing?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Okay, so some of our BFA, like you guys, alumni, are going to participate in the discussion, and if you guys want to visit with us, I'll send you the link. Sean's arranged it. So basically, there are people who've been out of the program for a couple years, 10 years, 6 months, whatever, that are pursuing the same degree that you guys are doing. And it's a chance, because we're coming up for accreditation, it's a chance to hear from the students what we're doing well, what we could do better. So I'm gonna copy that link and put it, what am I gonna do? Put it in the chat, does that work? If you need me to email it, just let me know. Okay, so it's, I'll read to you what all right. The BFA alumni meeting tonight, 6:30. This spring, Suffolk is going through CETA accreditation. I may be getting in trouble for telling you this, but I don't care. I'm so psyched what you guys are doing. Doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to be setting an example for the future. All right. A lot has changed since the last one in 2014. This is an opportunity to assess where we have been and where we should go in the future. Therefore, it's imperative that we understand how our experiences might shape our goals. Here's a link to the meeting. So this is what I'm going to present you guys. Ask me whatever questions you want, but I probably won't be able to answer them. Here's a link to the meeting. We're going to be asking students about their experiences with the program. So these are guys that have been out of the program a few years. What technology they use, what we're teaching them that has helped them. Yeah, and if you join LinkedIn, I don't know if you guys know anything about LinkedIn, but it's a professional network. Sean Sully and I are on there. And it's a way for us to network with people who've graduated and to keep in touch. If somewhere down the line you need a reference. Anyway, that's this evening in 25 minutes. Who's next?
I can show you a couple of mine.
All right.
Okay. So, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was like my winter one. I'm still kind of working on it, but
Okay, what very simply could instantly fix the missing piece here?
I don't know.
Come on.
Like more.
The white area, it's screaming for a swatch of paint.
This area?
Yeah.
This is blue. That's the paint that I picked. It's like a blue.
Oh,
that I
all
picked.
right. It's reading white.
Okay.
That's one of the, no, all right. I see that now.
I can change it and make it like
Well,
more of a gray.
no, here's where we run into collisions with reality and what you can represent on the computer screen. So the question here, I was looking at this image, and I'm thinking there's an empty white space in the top corner. You're saying, right? Emily's saying, I've chosen a really subtle blue that's going to complete the circle here. And that's the blue I want. And it's perfectly all right to stand behind that, right? Just keep in mind, now the test is going to, there's going to be a couple things. When we, again, reality and back to real life. When you print this, how is it going to read? How does that actual swatch read? Is that a paint material, Emily?
Yes, it is. I don't remember what kind. It was probably like Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore. I can't
Well,
remember.
you want to keep track of those things, because if you have to be able to reproduce the effects of that palette, but that's fine. Or you may, in hindsight, look at this and say, you know something, maybe I would benefit from a more saturated hue,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
You could experiment with it. That's the beauty of Photoshop. You could put in multiple layers, and that little eye icon turns them off and on.
Okay, cool.
You have another palette in there you want to look at?
Yes. This one also, this is like a very light color, so I'm gonna change it. But that's what like the white looks like, and then that's what the color is. I picked like a really light color, but this is like my summer one.
Yeah, it's hard for me to communicate this to you guys, because first off, I'm an architect. I've been an architect for a fairly long time, and I know how a subtle white color will render on a wall in a big room. I have a good sense of how that works. That's a sensibility that you guys will eventually develop, right? So the collision is what reads as a color palette presentation versus what is going to be the actual effect of applying this palette to room. Like, what do you want to do with that paint? You want to paint the walls with it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Okay.
originally.
So what that's going to do in most rooms, and then when you get into lighting, you'll understand something about this. That has a high level of reflectivity,
Okay.
right? So that's going to have a different effect with lighting than if that were a more saturated color. All I'm doing is giving you some insights into what the differences might be between how that palette is actually going to work and how it communicates in this material board.
Okay.
So I think both those colors, as far as the material board they're a little bit tough to read because they're highly unsaturated. But if that's what you want, just be prepared to defend it and acknowledge, that that's a particular color. Is that color there now or is it gone? I can't even tell.
That's like the bright white in the background,
Okay.
and then this is the color.
Okay. It's probably better than it appears, but that's the only observation. Otherwise, I think you did a great job at putting the palette together. I would not be so regimented about it. Like maybe take that wood on the right, decrease the size a little bit and stagger them a little, just sort of mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
Like move it over the left. Try that. Select the move thing, the little this thing up here. This thing.
I can't see your mouse.
Okay, let me select this
Okay.
and then move your mouse over the wood and drag it.
Where do you want me to move it? Like down, maybe?
Move it over on top of the tile.
Oh.
Okay, so it's behind it. So take that layer and bring it up. Go ahead and push it back over. Now go to the layer window and move the floor up over take this and move it up.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I had no idea you could do that.
Ah,
Thank you.
voila.
Thank you.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is very nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess that now knowing that your things are gonna improve dramatically, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Go ahead and show me another palette if you want, or we can move on, whatever.
These were just my two so far.
Okay, so now you know that you can move layers up and down.
Yes, thank you.
And now I know that I need to better explain that when I'm putting together instructional videos.
No, I think you explained it well. I didn't remember all of it. Thank you.
Who's next?
Can I show you something?
Yes, please.
I only have the one so far because I'm just looking for
Don't worry
materials
about
for
it. That's
other
right.
ones. But this is the spring one that I have so far.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Look at that green and it echoed over there, and that blue on the left is completely out of place, but bold and powerful. This is really, really elegant.
So a
Yeah.
lot of this part, the white is probably going to be the flooring, and then
Yeah.
the tile below it, I want it to be like an accent wall, either on the shower or like against where the toilet would be.
Yeah.
And the wood is going to be the countertops, and then
Yeah.
the brushed gold is going to be a lot of what the hardware is going to be. For the blue and the green, I was thinking, I don't know what I want to do. That was just kind of like the inspiration for like the rest of the stuff that I put in there. So I was thinking maybe either put like furniture, not really furniture, because this is like a bathroom, but like kind of trinkets or furniture or towels of that color in there. But yes.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about the composition, it's highly regimented, orthographic. You see what I did with some others, that move some stuff across, make it a little messy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to do that, because when you make good choices, they look good next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid you don't need to take those two tiles and regiment it, orthographically align them the way you did. This whole composition will survive a little bit of messiness. So don't be afraid to experiment with it. In other words, you're going like blue, green, column, like It doesn't have to be that regimented.
Okay,
So if
Oh.
you
try it.
go ahead and try it now. Just take any one of those layers and drag them over to the left.
Oh, this is a actual like picture that I
Oh,
just
that's
saved.
okay. You saved it. Okay.
Yes. But yes, I'll go and try it out now.
you can manage it, and now and you can benefit from what I showed some of the other students,
Mhm.
right?
Okay, yes.
That's really beautiful, Janet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Who's
that's
next?
all.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with these palettes, are we gonna, what did you say we're doing with them again?
Well, later I'm gonna show you how to use Photoshop and apply them to a drawing.
Okay. So are we creating like a house, or are these gonna be like just separate rooms of?
No, it'll be one of the rooms that you get to choose. You can do a kitchen. I have a drawing of a kitchen that we can apply the palette to. Or if you have, like Janet just described, a bathroom, if you want to decorate a bathroom, then we need a drawing of the bathroom. Or we can contrive an interior with 4 walls and a couple pieces of furniture that you just apply the palette to, just to see what it feels like to be in a room with those materials. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Like, yeah, like I could take, if you took a picture of this room, wait a minute. There's an exercise mat, which is material, right? I don't use it. I carry it around and pretend that I exercise with it. So let's imagine that I created a drawing of this room and I decided I don't like the wood over here. I'm going to apply my exercise mat blue to this wall. And we're going to do that in Photoshop. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Do I sound crazy? I know I sound crazy, but
No.
I am crazy, but I hopefully, right? This is fun. The beauty of this is anything you choose, you're going to create an environment and say, here's what it's like to be in this room that I imagine. Who cares if it's a bathroom, kitchen, or what, or you know, a bunch of desks like this. All I need to know is what I want on this surface, what I want on that wall, on that floor. Can I point to the floor? I don't know how to do it with the camera. And whatever, wherever I can see, because that's the business we're in. You guys are doing great. If you want to join this meeting, I'm gonna stop now, so that we have a little bit of time to collect that stuff, and I can pick up where we left off. I hope to see you next week. I think we can arrange that. So let's shoot for that. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for working as hard as you guys have. You should be proud of yourselves. I am. Be well, and maybe I'll see you at this meeting in a little bit. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.